Hey folks, welcome to the Bible Thumping Wingnut podcast. This podcast is originating on March 6th, 2016. We have a special guest. His name is Tyler Vela, and Tyler has a podcast. Tyler is a former atheist.
You're stuck with this hermeneutic that says, because of this one verse, I'm going to ignore all of these other verses that apply to this concept of how do you treat a foreigner. Specifically, you should treat them well because you remember what it was like to be a servant in Egypt, right? That's the underlying assumption. Why should you treat your foreign servants well? Because you remember what it was like to be a servant in a foreign land, don't you? And because God redeemed you from there, you should treat yours the same. And then he goes into laws about how do you care for the foreigner, you provide food for the foreigner. It continues on in 21. When you gather the grapes of your vineyard, you shall not go over it again. It shall be for the alien, for the orphan, and for the widow. You shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt. Therefore, I'm commanding you to do this thing. So there's social welfare given to foreigners because God is setting up a system where there's not supposed to be any debt servitude at that point. Again, and you're just ignoring all of these passages that talk about what it's like to be a servant in Israel. You're stuck with the hermeneutic of saying, you basically want to ignore all of these passages that talk about the just treatment, don't pervert justice, all this kind of stuff, because you have one pet verse that you really want to push through. And by the way, I know we said we weren't going to cover it, but I'm just going to flat out say it. As an atheist, you don't get to come here and say that slavery is immoral. You don't. It's not allowed in your worldview. You can't ground it. We can on ours, and so you can offer a valid, you can try to offer a valid internal critique and say, if I want to believe in an all-loving God, then I have moral issues. You can claim that, but you can't come and say Christians are immoral for trying to defend slavery because then you're making a moral claim.
Clarifying thing for you.
Sure.
Skylar's not an atheist. He's a deist.
Oh, well, still not helpful. Still not helpful. I have other issues with deism on morality anyways.
He's a deist, but he believes that all morals are subjective. That would be, we're putting.
Well, then it's the same problem. You can't ground that. But you're.
I can respond to that. I can respond to your statement. I can respond to your statement. I think you're basically just making a lot of assertions here about my hermeneutics. I've read all the chapters. I've read all of Exodus. I can admit I haven't read the whole chapter in the last couple of days or anything like that. I think you're blatantly ignoring what the scripture says. You're pointing mostly to scriptures that basically are referring just foreigners, not necessarily foreign slaves. When you make an argument and saying that my morality isn't whatever properly grounded, you basically just have a moral claim that you can't demonstrate to be the case. You have this claim, and if you believe like traditional Christians that God is the standard of morality,
let's stick to slavery. Let's stick to slavery.
That's fine. We'll keep with slavery. But he did bring it up, so I just wanted to point out that it is merely a claim that he is arguing, that he isn't actually demonstrating that objective morals exist, at least in with the standard that he says exists.
We understand your position that raping babies for fun isn't necessarily wrong.
And we understand your position that killing babies sometimes is okay.
You haven't proved, Skylar, what situation it would be all right in. But we're still waiting.
No, sure. Hold on. Tim. Let me respond, please. Please give me an opportunity to respond. So it was Tim that was on my show and said that all children deserve hell, straight out. He also said that killing babies isn't always wrong. There's occasions when killing babies is perfectly moral. So it's weird to me when you say things like raping isn't always wrong. I find raping people absolutely disgusting, just like I find killing babies absolutely disgusting. But it seems like you have morals that dictate that sometimes it's perfectly okay for human beings to kill babies. And you think that all children deserve help. So if we want to talk about moral systems, yours is the one problem, Tim.
Skylar, is it okay for somebody to torture a baby forever?
I don't think so.
Is that okay? Based on what?
I don't think so, no. My personal opinion.
That's right. And the opposite opinion, are they wrong?
Feels wrong to me. Like there's no objective right or wrong when it comes to morality because it's based on personal feelings and opinion. If you have a difference, you can demonstrate it and say that it exists. If you'd love to give your argument for it.
So don't come here and say slavery is wrong or killing.
Never said it once.
Is killing a baby wrong?
I find it wrong. Yeah, I think it's absolutely disgusting.
No, wait. You don't find it wrong. This is the thing. No, you don't.
Yeah, I did say.
This is the thing where semantically, I'm sorry, you don't. The statement murdering a baby is wrong. Let's just break it down grammatically. You have the predicate. You have the predicate is wrong describes the object, killing a baby, right?
Sure.
But you've said you don't mean that killing a baby is wrong. What you mean is I don't like it. So semantically, you should be accurate because when you say killing a baby is wrong, it's like saying an apple is green. The apple is objectively green. It's not my opinion that it's green. It is green. You don't actually mean killing a baby is wrong. What you mean when you say it, you're being dishonest in your rhetoric. What you mean is I don't prefer it.
No.
You should be honest. I'm just saying.
Hold on, I'll respond to you. I'll respond to you if you give me a chance to respond.
Sure.
So when I say killing babies is wrong, what I'm referring to is my sense of morality, my system of morality.
So your system of morality doesn't say that it's wrong. Your system of morality says that you don't prefer it. No. You just said there's no such thing as objective. The predicate doesn't describe the object. Your worldview, the predicate doesn't describe the object.
You're playing a linguistic game, and what's more important is what people mean by what they say.
You're playing a linguistic game. I'm trying to make your grammar correct to what you mean. I'm not playing a linguistic game.
So is it always wrong to kill babies? Is it always wrong for a human to kill a baby?
Is it always wrong for a human to kill a baby?
Yeah.
I would think yes.
All right, just turn to 1 Samuel 15 when God ordered human beings to kill babies.
As the person who cannot say that it's wrong for somebody to kill a baby.
Yeah, exactly.
I just asked.
Tyler,
is it always wrong or not?
God's judgment is always holy, just, and righteous.
Okay, so according to God's judgment, it's always just for when He orders someone to kill a baby. It's moral and just according to God's theology.
Absolutely. Is that wrong, Tyler? Is that wrong?
It just disturbs me that you guys have believed.
But it's not wrong. It just disturbs you. It's not wrong. Just disturbs you.
You can't say it.
Listen, there's no such thing as objective right or wrong.
Okay, that's all we need to hear. And you can,
nihilism. Welcome to nihilism.
You can say that you are effectively booted off the Bible Thumping Wingnut show once again, and that's what they have. And he is the star. He's the star argumenter for that argument. And
well, let me just go back for the people listening. What I was going to ask him before he derailed into the moral issue is he wants us to read the laws about foreign servants in a complete vacuum, that it's like hermeneutically and hermeneutically sealed from other passages that talk about how Israelites were supposed to treat foreigners. By that same rationale, I could say all of the laws about how an Israelite was supposed to treat an Israelite out the window. It doesn't apply when you're talking about Israelite servants. We just can ignore all of those passages. That's how that's the inconsistency of his hermeneutic. It's just he has a pet verse that he wants to grind his axe against, but it causes him into terrible hermeneutics. I love when he says, "Oh, I've read the verses before." Great. No one's saying you haven't read them. What we're saying is you aren't reading them well. Your hermeneutics is bad.
And let me just say, because the comments, of course, will be made. They always are. Oh, Tim booted him because he was making a good point. Tim booted him when he said there is no objective right and wrong. And we pointed that out to him over and over again. I booted him because there's no reason for him to come in here and argue anything is wrong. Anything. He can say he doesn't like it, as Tyler pointed out. He can say I don't prefer it. But if everything is subjective, if your moral positions on everything is just subjective, then you have no grounds to say that the person who has the opposite position as you, that their opinion is any better or worse than yours.
Yeah, and we would never say this about any other sense, right? Moral sense, for some reason, throws people into saying just crazy nonsense, right? We never say this about our sense of sight. So I brought up the green apple, right? We would never say that, because I completely admit that how I perceive the apple is subjective to how I perceive it. But I don't say because I perceive it in a subjective sense, therefore the apple isn't objectively green. And I don't say that I have no foundation for the person who says, well, you know, the apple is polka dot and yellow and zebra striped. There's no foundation for me saying they're wrong. No, I can say they're wrong until I'm proved otherwise. And if I say the apple is green, just grammatically, the predicate describes the object, right? I'm saying the apple is green. The subjectivist can't say, if they are being honest, and this is where I call him, he can't say that he thinks rape is wrong, because grammatically that means he thinks wrongness is an objective feature of rape. If he's being honest, he needs to say what he means, which is, I don't prefer it, or I don't like it, or I wish that it was wrong, even though it's really not. I mean, he needs to be honest about it.